Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this program, Focus on African Women's Health. This is a program that is committed to promoting African women's health at home and abroad. We share the global message of health for all and emphasize that African women must not be left behind in optimal health. Just in case you are joining us for the first time on this program, this is Dr. Olaide Ogunshiji of the School of Nursing and Midwifery, Western Sydney University, Sydney, Australia. I want to use this opportunity to really thank as many people that have been watching this weekly video and have been sharing, and I've also started conversation on how to move African women's health forward. I really thank you and appreciate all your efforts in doing so. For as many as were with us last week, our focus was on uterine fibroid. And we promised that we're going to start a conversation this week on the issue of cervical cancer and associated screening. So for the next 2 weeks, this will be what we'll be focusing on. Today, we'll just provide some important background, and next week, we'll focus specifically on the issue of cervical cancer screening. So let's get started by asking ourselves, what is cervical cancer? This is the cancer of the cervix, and if you look at human body, the cervix is the lower part of the uterus. As a matter of fact, it provides support to the uterus. Cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers. However, death rates from cervical cancer is among the highest in Africa. There are some suggested reasons for the high death rates of cervical cancer, and on top of the list is that of cultural myths and beliefs about cancer. Others include social stigma associated with cancer, embarrassment around what will people say, how do I tell my friends or family members when there is a diagnosis of cervical cancer, and among Africans that are living as migrants in other countries of the world, there are other issues that include difficulty in understanding and navigating the health services of those those other countries where they are living in. And all these suggested reasons increase the vulnerability of Africans in seeking healthcare on time to prevent mortality that is associated with cervical cancer. Many misconceptions about cervical cancer exist, and among them are the issue of belief that having cervical cancer diagnosis means that one is a prostitute and that Satan is the cause of cervical cancer. Others hold on to the belief that dirty wombs cause cervical cancer. So as a result of this, one needs to wash herself out every day. There is also the belief that women with cervical cancer are bewitched. These are myths and misconceptions that have the potentials of hindering people from seeking health service as at when due. There are risk factors, and on top of the list of the risk factors is the human papilloma virus, which is a virus that is transmitted through genital skin-to-skin contact. It is an infection from high-risk HPV or human papilloma virus that leads to changes in the cells of the cervix, which may then develop into cancer in some women. And having a pap smear or pap test is the only way to determine HPV infection. Apart from HPV, other risk factors include age, family history, obesity, and tobacco smoking. You may be wondering what are some signs and symptoms of cervical cancer. Unfortunately, there is no specific signs and symptoms of cervical cancer, especially in the early stages. And only through pap smear or pap test can cervical cancer be detected. Next week, we will focus on cervical cancer screening, like I said, and we will pay a lot of attention to that component of cervical cancer screening when we meet next week. And that is it for me for today. I want to thank you again. In case you are joining us for the first time, this is Dr. Olaide Ogunshiji of the School of Nursing and Midwifery, Western Sydney University, Sydney, Australia. Please, as I always say, kindly watch this video, share it, and let's all get the conversation started. Or continue the conversation on how you and I can make a difference in ensuring that African women are not left behind in optimal health. And that is it again. Until next week, I really look forward to having you there. Until next week, it's cheers. Thank you.